Hello, everybody, and welcome to this episode of the FBL-Zone. My name is Dominic Mimbank, and I will be your host for this episode. Today, I am joined by two amazing FBLA chapter officers from South Forsyth FBLA, and now I'll let them introduce themselves.
Hi everyone, my name is Rithia Kamaran, and I serve as South Forsyth High School's co-president as well as a Region 11 officer.
Hello everyone, I serve as your FBLA co-president as well for South Forsyth, and my name is Vio.
All right, it's so nice to meet you guys. Well, not meet you guys, but to have you guys here on this podcast. So tell us right quick, how's your week been?
So my week's actually been really good. School was, I think it's our second week back, so it's been like we're just getting into things. Took a few tests this week actually, so not just getting into things. But also we had our first kickoff meeting for FBLA just yesterday, so that went really good. We had a really high turnout, I think a little over like 400 people. Yeah. And so it was really fun, a very large meeting, so pretty good week so far.
Yeah, so picking off right what she said, my week has been sort of the same, Senior year, we have the college apps and stuff, classic. But yeah, FBLA, our first kickoff meeting was pretty swell. It's like the first and probably only year that me and my sister will share a year. She's going to be a freshman this year, so yeah. High freshman turnout as well, I would say. So we're going to try and work on, educating them into FBLA. But yeah, I just loved it this week.
That's super great to hear. I know you guys have a large chapter. Was your kickoff meeting was in the cafeteria, right? Was it like super packed?
Yeah, it was in the cafeteria. There was like a lot of people. Yeah, usually our meetings do have a high turnout though.
We had like all the advisors like sort of like stationed like surrounding everyone and whatnot, and we even had a game and like to like do the game and whatnot. We had like officers like choose different people. If you know the Walmart game, it's like where people have to like say like items from Walmart in a line. It's like whoever says the word like S. Like,
oh my gosh!
Says,
yeah,
like,
I remember doing that at Slots.
At Slots, yeah. So we just nabbed it from Slots because they have such good ideas. So then when we did that, we had it was a blast, and and then like everyone was like just looking in to see who was gonna win, and at the very end we had like boxes and boxes of chips, and then we were just like handing out like one snack for each. It was pretty like assembly style, when you're that huge, you sort of just gotta handle it like that. But I kind of loved, the vibe of them going forward. I feel good about this year.
For sure. So for our first question, I wanted to ask, what inspired you guys to run for the co-president positions in your FBLA chapter?
So I actually joined FBLA in 6th grade. So seeing just how much it did for me, like from professional growth to even personal growth, meeting a lot of my friends from FBLA, I just wanted to continue like sharing that experience with all other members. I wanted to like almost essentially like continue to build a community of like a very passionate and driven like chapter that we have at South, and I wanted to have a role, like play a continued role in that, in the sense that I could be involved with competition, community events, and all the aspects of it to really just like continue like building our like South FBLA community.
Yeah, so I love that. For me, I joined right in like 9th grade, right in just like walking across like the different clubs during freshman festival, which was sort of like the way that they had like different stands and whatnot. And I was just curious, it's like, okay, there's the math club here, there's a science club here and whatnot. But when I went to the FBLA thing, there was something wild in their eyes, I would say, just like the passion and just the execution of their speeches and whatnot. Whenever I asked questions, they were almost like ecstatic to answer and whatnot. I would say it's the enthusiasm that really just like put me on the path to begin with. It's like, I'm going to try out FBLA. I think business could definitely be something for me. I always looked into finance just a little bit. So then I did that, and then throughout the years, I just fell in love with it. Just like the people and then memories, it just escalated over and over again. I became a squad leader, then parliamentarian, then, to end it off, senior year, I get to be co-pres for this very dear organization to my heart.
Oh my gosh, that's so great to hear. It's amazing to hear how FBLA is able to, just draw people in. So just so well, and it's just because this community to me is so energetic and so passionate that it has a way of bringing members in, and it's amazing to hear about your FBLA journeys and why it inspired you to take a place in your chapter's leadership. So what are your primary goals for South Versailles FBLA this year, and how do you plan to achieve them?
So one of our major goals this year, I would say, is to do more community service. So for the past few years, we have been doing community service, but we're thinking like, given the size of our chapter, we have the capacity and abilities to do more larger scaled community service projects and impact even more people. So that's what we're trying to aim for this year. We're trying to have more larger scale community service projects. And the way that we're trying to achieve this is we're starting really early. So we've been planning out our community service projects up to December already. Like, I know that they have a monthly service project, but which we'll like build off of essentially. But we already like have a very solid plan on how we can like max out, or how we can essentially make it like even bigger than it necessarily like has to be or had been in the past.
Yeah. So that's, community service has always been like a big part of our thing. But personally, from what I've seen, when we first began in 9th grade, that year I had no complaints. I loved every bit of it. It's sort of been my favorite year so far. Hopefully this one will take the cake. But it's just it had a little bit of a decline in 10th grade, but then 11th grade and 12th grade, it's picking it back up. And what I liked about 9th grade and whatnot was just sort of the leadership they had up front, how open, how easily you could communicate to the president or to anyone on the team, if you had any questions. That I felt like, well, you could have still done that. It wasn't as sort of communicated as clearly. Just especially this year, because of all the new members that I know we're going to get, I'd say that, just getting everyone into the process in order to want to do these community service events, to want to do these competitive events, right? I just want to just take all the, the newbies and whatnot, even people who join, sophomore year, junior year, who want to know what FBLA is all about. We have our squad leader program, and we have many different things that I just want to, try and like push out there, that we want to try and push out there to sort of like explain our competitive event meeting, to explain what FBLA is at this point, because, we're just beginning. And, once you have a strong base, you can never go wrong with that.
That is so amazing to hear. I know community service and also, how you implement your leadership in your chapter is just so fundamental to how a chapter grows and their success throughout the entire year, especially in Georgia FBLA. So I'm glad to hear that those are some of your primary goals to continue building South Versailles FBLA to the amazing chapter that it is. For my next question, I wanted to ask, I know you guys have the co-president role, so how do you guys manage the responsibilities and challenges of co-leadership, and how do you ensure effective communication between each other?
Yeah, so I can answer that one. So always, every single time, whenever like me and Verthia, first off, we began in the summer. We began early. We went ahead, we went to the library, and we charted out like all the things, chapter of the year, sort of battle of the chapters, just like all the different things that we knew that we did last year, but we want to do better this year, and things that we wanted to maintain. And then after that, we just consistently, we had a meeting with all our officers to get everyone on the same page, professional, but also in a way that just like, we wanted to inspire them just a little bit, but to take their own initiative when we gave them their projects and whatnot. I mean, at that point, once we set the dates and whatnot, and then we just continually just text each other each and every while. Like this time, we're going to be talking to South Versailles Middle School. So, like one of the people, Arushi, she's our VP of Outreach. She just texted like, "Hey, does anyone want to help me and just like do like some introductory talk about FBLA in high school to the South Middle people, to our officer group chat?" And then we just had like almost like 9 to 10 people just say, I can help. And I just loved that about like our officer team, that like we introduced that to them and then they just took it right on.
Yeah, and like just to add on to that, like me and Guillaume, we always like we communicate really openly to each other. Like if there's like a concern, then I can bring it up to him, and if he has a concern, he brings it up to me, and we just like bounce ideas off of each other. And I feel like most of the time we're able to resolve all of our conflicts. Really, like we never really took anything to an advisor yet, and I don't think we'll ever have to because we're just able to really balance off of each other. And just I feel like we each have our strong suits as well, and having that balance is very key to our success, I feel.
Wow, that's great to hear. For our next question, one thing that I've noticed from South Forsyth FBLA is that one thing that you guys are good at is member engagement, and that's something that a lot of chapters struggle with in Georgia FBLA, keeping their members engaged so they're engaged throughout the entire year, participating in conferences and whatnot. So I just wanted to ask, what strategies do you guys use to engage and motivate chapter members to participate actively in FBLA activities?
So I would say it would like first off would be like our really active communication. There's multiple different ways members get information for our chapter: Instagram, Twitter, the S'mores newsletter, which is like a weekly newsletter with every single like FBLA update imaginable for like the month, and just like the group me and all of those communication platforms. Like it's like almost like a constant thing. Like every single day you'll get something from FBLA, if not every day, at least like 2 to 3 times a week. So having members like actively involved, like you don't even need to have social media, just like checking your email, or like there's something for every single person to be actively involved with our chapter. Also, we have 6 amazing advisors at South, and because of how many of our FBLA members are involved within the business and computer science pathways, they always advertise FBLA opportunities in their classrooms. So them each teaching like 6 periods of like 30 students like really does help with our member engagement as well.
Yeah, I mean, she listed all of the heavy hitters out there, but one thing I'd like to add is that when you have, new people coming into our, South Forsyth FBLA, usually the first thing we like to bedazzle them with is like, hey, we went ahead and we took 62 people, National Leadership Conference last year in Florida, 32 of them placed in the top 10. And then just showing that to them, it's like, it gives that sort of initiative. It gives that sort of inspiration. It's like, wait, if they can do it, so can I, And just that sort of inspiration that like, we just have, people at the ready. Our competition meeting on the 22nd, where we explain competitions. We're going to have people who've done events in the past and whatnot. And then we're encouraging, sort of everyone to show up. So then when they can talk to these people, they'll get to understand the ins and outs of how to succeed. Because at the end of the day, I feel like some of our greatest motivation is that to succeed in FBLA. And we've really developed the culture to like help sustain that each and every year.
So another thing that I've also noticed that South Forsyth FBLA is strong at, definitely, is competitive events. Like it's like you guys are like some of the national powerhouses of competitive events. Like at state and at nationals, all I would hear was first place, second place, third place, South Forsyth FBLA. So I just wanted to ask, if you guys could give one competitive event tip to our viewers, what would it be?
So I typically do presentation events. I know Guillaume does more testing based. So for presentation events, I would say that just to like start a little bit earlier. So like they release the topics. I believe that they already released the topics for this year, or they're about to release on the 19th, one or the other. And so just like looking at those, like just like as it releases, to like think about some ideas, like who do I want to work with if it's a team event, and just like maybe not even writing the script, but like thinking about ideas and like just brainstorming really helps. Also, another piece of advice I would have is to present it to an advisor. So even in like if your chapter doesn't have super experienced advisors, they're still adults and they've still gone through like the workplace and have given presentations and things like that. So getting like an adult perspective, because the judges at SLC and the judges at NLC are adults, really helps, because their feedback is something that like the judges will look for, essentially.
Yeah. So as she said, I've done quite a couple objective tests in the past, and I would say that one of the most infamous testing events out there is called Introduction to Financial Math. Now, the thing about this event is that every single, person and their brother goes ahead and does this event when they look into ninth grade year. It's like, oh, this event seems easy and whatnot. Why don't I do intro to financial math? I'll see how well I can do in it. And then it's like they don't even get in the top 10. Now, the important thing to note here is that, that's just sort of the dynamic of FBLA, is that when you join, there's going to be some events that'll always have like the most competitive spirit and whatnot, that'll always be harder to get. Like the standards are so, like the event itself is easy, but to actually place in it, which is the main goal, is actually harder. So, one of the things I remember when I was in freshman year, I was just looking up at the screen and whatnot, and there's this event called Mobile Application Design. Now, the top 4 goes to National Leadership Conference, and I was looking at the screen at SLC, and there's only 3 submissions. So all of them immediately went. Now, after that year, for mobile application design, all 10 were filled. So obviously, don't bank on, always trying to go for the most niche subject. But I am saying that if you do see some underrated events out there that you can be passionate